Welcome back, Wits, to Walking in the Truth, and today we are focusing on part 2 of RH negative Holy Grail Bloodline. And a recap of part 1. Of course, I would love you to watch the first part so you're brought up to speed. But those of you that have already watched that, let's just do a refresher. That we did establish that in modern day time, RH negative blood makes up or comprises about 15% of world population. And if you take that 15% and you take 35% of that group, the blood is concentrated, the RH negative blood is concentrated in Basque country. Basque is the southern part of France and the northern part of Spain where they border, and that is right next to the Mediterranean Sea. So the other thing that we established was that in order for it to be the Holy Grail bloodline, we would have to understand that it's possible Jesus would have married Mary Magdalene, producing a royal bloodline. And could this have been obscured into the cup that everybody is looking for, actually possibly being Mary as the cup that was filled with Jesus's bloodline? And so let's jump forward and see where we go from there, and where the evidence and the arcane knowledge and the actual historical trail leads us as we go forward. So in our research, my next question would be, is there evidence in Jerusalem, where Jesus was crucified, that Mary made a trip across the Mediterranean Sea where she would go to dock in Saint Maurice de la Mer, the Three Marys of the Sea fishing village in the Basque, south of France area? Now, there is. If it was a book, I'd worry that it had been altered and so forth, because words can be scrambled and they can be mixed, and it's not left up to the person to look at the original document. But back before there were people that were translating and doing these things, we began by communicating in artwork. And so I believe that to be true now, and there's a piece of artwork of antiquity hanging in the St. Mary's Church in Magdala, Jerusalem. And this is a painting that has a king sitting upon a throne. Now, this is Tiberius Caesar, who was the second emperor that ruled at the time of Jesus's life. Augustus Caesar was his father, and I should say stepfather, because he was adopted. And he was the opposition to the truth, in the sense of Jesus trying to put the words out. The Romans are the ones that crucified Jesus, and Tiberius Caesar was the emperor. You can bet your bottom dollar he knew everything that was going on, and he didn't even want to be emperor, and he led a horrific life of debauchery. It was said that Tiberius Caesar was so wicked that after molesting his victims, youth, boys of his choice, he would hurl them alive off of the cliff known as the Tiberius Cliff, and they would fall to their death. He also was adopted by Augustus Caesar because Augustus was his stepfather, as well as Augustus was also adopted, and yet Tiberius put out the coin that said Tiberius Caesar, son of divine Augustus. It really kind of was slapping back that they wanted to be the royal bloodline, and to take that privilege that God, the divine, had chosen these wicked people, and it stood against the Creator, I believe. So this painting shows Caesar, Tiberius, second emperor of Rome, on his throne, and it shows Mary Magdalene holding out her hand with a red egg. And then the story goes, and the legends go, that at that time that the crucifixion would have taken place, then the resurrection, Tiberius Caesar had fallen into a depression due to the death of his firstborn and only child, with his stepsister no less, and had kind of become a hermit on the island of Capri. Now, what by chance do you think that the island of Capri would be in the Mediterranean Sea between Jerusalem and the Basque Country? Pretty good chance, yes. And so this again shows that if this painting is actually a message, that Mary Magdalene would have went to see Tiberius Caesar. Now, I could see this if I was the wife. You just murdered my husband. You know, Mary Magdalene accompanied Jesus right up to the point that he had to be left alone. And she was the only one allowed to do so by the Roman guards. This points to the fact that she had a very intimate relationship with him, and that was of no question, yet they did not grab her. I find it great information to know that they did not seize her, as in Caesar, Tiberius Caesar, Augustus Caesar. So they did not seize her, and so she would have been protected in some way, whether by the Creator or they just didn't push it any further. I believe the Creator. But that would have left her available to go visit Tiberius, possibly to deliver the message as she was consigned to do. She was commissioned by Jesus to go spread the word to the apostles. Well, there's more to that story, I'm sure. And so would it make sense that she would indeed travel from Jerusalem after the resurrection to send this message directly in person to Tiberius? I believe yes, and I believe that that painting is evidence, and it hangs on the wall in the St. Mary Church in Magdala. So there you go, folks. There's another huge piece of evidence that she did indeed make this trip. Now let's go even further and see what we come up with in more evidence. We'll put that piece up on our whiteboard over here, that there is an actual painting of antiquity that does relay the message that Mary Magdalene did make this journey across the Mediterranean Sea to the Basque Country, where O negative blood originated, as well as Rh negative blood. And is it possible that we find more evidence that Mary Magdalene was the Holy Grail, and the fact that her cup was filled with the royal pure bloodline through the divine Jesus Christ? But before we jump ahead too far, let's stick to the red egg theory. Not only is the painting of the red egg being presented by Mary Magdalene to Tiberius Caesar, a painting hanging there, the saying goes that she presented the red egg, and legend would have it that she spoke the words, "Christ has risen." So that would be also with the commission that she was given by Jesus to continue to spread the word, and made her, in the French belief, to be the apostle to the other apostles. So she plays a huge part here. And is there more evidence of the red egg story? And there is. There's also the legend that Mary Magdalene brought a basket of eggs and placed them at the base of the cross. They got covered in Jesus's blood. at the crucifixion. So there's one legend there. And then also the fact that there are hundreds and hundreds of paintings of Mary Magdalene holding a red egg. When something's put into the amount of work that goes into a painting, it's very discerning what is put in the painting. And if that many artists are replicating the same message, there has to be meaning behind. And if there's meaning behind them, if there's a message to these paintings, let's look at what the red egg could symbolize. So an egg had stood for a new beginning long before Jesus' birth or crucifixion or resurrection. And it was a symbol of rebirth, obviously. The color red is where we get the question as to what does that mean. There could be a lot of interpretations here, but the blood of Christ starting the new beginning. And that is what Jesus' message was. The blood of Christ starting a new beginning with a new message. And isn't that what O negative and RH negative people are striving for that are awakened? Is to get this message out there. So again, a connection. The idea that the egg possibly turned red in front of Tiberius Caesar while Magdalene was holding it is also another legend that could have possibly happened. We would have seen a life change, I would think, in Caesar. And he did not dispute Mary Magdalene or oppose the fact any longer that Christ had risen. So something did change his life. And then we have to move forward. What else do we have that gives us the idea that this pure bloodline possibly happened? So we'll go forward from there. In next video, we're going to talk about more artwork that is left along the trail that Mary Magdalene allegedly has taken across the Mediterranean Sea. The message in the artwork cannot be altered, and so this could be a lot of the information we're looking for that shows the evidence of what really took place and how the O negative blood is connected.